I'm Jimmy. This is the SunHome project. So far I've talked about why I'm building the SunHome, what the SunHome is, and the design constraints and the design rules that I've applied as I've been developing it in SolidWorks. And before I actually show you the design, I just want to tell you about the how, or the process that I'm using as I develop it. And I want to set your expectations and explain where we are now and where we will be going as we move forward. So I've taken a phased design approach to this project. Because I am a single person working on it, I can't do multiple things in parallel. So the way my phases work is I'm trying to de-risk the highest risk items first. So I've completed phase 0. Phase 0 was de-risking the weight constraint. Because I've decided that the SunHome has to be expandable and all of those mechanisms and structures are going to add a lot of weight, my first goal was to make sure that once I include all of the materials that make a full SunHome in the design in SolidWorks, am I under my weight? So as I've said in my previous videos, I am under the weight. And so now we can move on to phase 1. In phase 1, it is refining the design so that it can be built in the real world. So this is taking the design in SolidWorks, creating the drawings, ordering the parts, and assembling it. This is a big phase. A lot of engineers want to model all of the risk out and make sure that everything is understood before they go and build it. But the reality is, as soon as you go to build it, you're always going to find something new. So my intention is to just take what I have. It's not complete. It doesn't have every nut and bolt in the design or every seal and every interface, but it does have the main structural components and something that can be taken and de-risked in the real world. Because again, the expansion is the biggest risk item. So you really need to build it and see, can it be built, can it function? And that leads me to phase 2. Because phase 2 is where we apply real engineering rigor. Now that it is built, we can actually do the risk analysis on it. Because doing a risk analysis on something that doesn't exist is just imagination. So once we have a physical product or prototype, we start doing failure mode and effects analysis. We start looking at single point failures, how human factors might use the design incorrectly, what happens when things aren't exactly perfect conditions, does it still work? And we're going to iterate the design based on our findings. And then once we have a design that passes all of our tests, we will move on to validation. And validation is where we will actually use the design. We'll take it out on the road, we'll live in it, and we'll see, can it actually work? Does it meet all of the needs from a high-level user that someone would need to make it a living, like a long-term home? So those are all of the phases. As I said, we are finished phase 0, moving into phase 1, and that's when I started this documentation series. So how do I have all of the time to do all this work? Because I do have a full-time job, and executing all of these phases is a big time commitment that also comes with a lot of sacrifice. So last year during phase 0, my mentality was I wouldn't seek out social interaction, but if someone invited me to something, I would also not say no. And that worked really well for phase 0 because I was just chipping away at the design in SolidWorks and making sure that, I could get to a weight that was acceptable. And now that I have a full design, I've decided I'm going to put all of my time and energy into realizing the prototype. So now I am actively saying no to social interactions. I've been invited to a bachelor party. There was a birthday this weekend, actually, that I had to say no to. My mom wanted to go on a trip to see the Northern Lights. And I just keep explaining to people without apologizing that I've been focusing on my project and it is requiring my depth and my focus for the foreseeable future. And people are very understanding of that. And people are very excited for me too. But it has been very difficult for me to get used to saying no. because I'm always someone who always wanted to say yes and always do something with my friends. So this is a completely new mentality for me. And I just wanted to put that out there because I want people to realize that if you're taking a project and a commitment very seriously, there will unfortunately be sacrifices, but that is part of what makes the project so meaningful. So I just wanted to lay those expectations, and I hope now you have the full picture of kind of where we are, where we're going, and I hope you're excited to see the design. Okay, we'll see you there in the next video.